Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hello and welcome to another very special episode of Amplify My Impact. This is going to be a very short, quick intro to pre-frame the interview that we're sharing today with Brook Evans. This interview actually started from the moment that Brooke hopped on our Zoom connection, and we just immediately dove into the content and sharing and catching up with one another. So midway through, there is an official introduction, so I didn't want to catch anyone off guard, but I did want to let you know you're in for a very special treat because we both hit the ground running. I love and adore Brooke, and I cannot wait to share this with you. Enjoy.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, gorgeous.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Let me finish this message.
No. I'm going to love on you. I love all of your posts. I love your group. It's been so fun being in there and seeing just all of the encouragement. Like, you are such a sales closing boss.
You are so kind. Well, it's really interesting because I love sales, but it's like the humans that I love that make sales like what it is. And so it's like really hard for me even to come to grips with like this identity that I'm like a sales coach, because the perception of a sales coach is like so different than what I feel like I embody and who I am. So yeah, I just hope that I can like really stand out as like this attractive character to make it so that my reputation in this world is like not labeled as like a sales coach. Like she's more than just a sales coach. So I really appreciate your confidence and all of your compliments. It's so kind.
Oh, you're so welcome. I mean, and I don't think you have to worry about that. You absolutely 100% stand in integrity in everything that you do and that you teach. I wish it would become the standard of sales coaching. And I mean, we'd be a lot better for it if that was what people thought about. And then that's the problem. Like, there's a stigma attached to it. So own it and change the world's definition and perception of what a sales coach is, because it should be 100% based in service and paying it forward, and not only providing the, for your family and the lifestyle that you want using your skills and gifts that God gave you, but literally helping people see that investing and betting on themselves is the best decision they'll ever make. I think that's the biggest gift that we could give to people. I struggled with it. Like, I didn't even know I needed coaching or help or mentoring. I was just talking to Nick yesterday, and about that. Like, we're both collegiate athletes, and he went a lot further than me. I didn't make it very far, which it's fine. But when you have that, that drive and that passion, like just naturally and internally, you think like, I am just a hard worker, I will figure it out. I will get through. And I never made that connection or realized that in working with someone who specializes in a certain area of expertise, that would take my drive and like my determination to learn and to develop. And just like, I think, let me think what words I used. I said, it's like being in the fast lane to warp speed. And it's literally
Yes.
like, I will never go back now. Like
Yeah.
I find myself like, I need help with this. Who's the top leading expert in this?
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
just know what will happen when I have like a 10 to 15 minute consultation with somebody, and I bet on that investment and I'm willing to invest. And cause I look at it as supporting small businesses. Like,
Yeah.
I look at it as like, if we're blessed, and someone's giving me value and saving me time, I should be a blessing to others. I should be able,
Yes.
like, and I'm a huge believer that you get in return what you put out. So if you seek out people like that and you're willing to pay them, I
Totally.
feel like that's the client, that's the type of mindset of clients that I am going to create and to attract.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have like a no assholes policy,
I love it. I love it. That is so freaking awesome. And yeah, it's been, I think, amazing. Like, I think that what you're saying is so true. Like, the more I immerse myself in the ClickFunnels world too, it wasn't just like because I love all of the books and Russell Brunson is just amazing. It was like the people, like, I think that I went too long in my life, in my entrepreneurial experience, where like I was hiding my credit card because like I didn't have enough people in my world that had that expertise and were way, way, way ahead of me. But I also was like in a scarcity mindset. And I also was in scarcity because like I wasn't making anything because I didn't have the mentors. And like now I have like this list where it's like I literally have 5 people right now that I'm like, and you are one of them, where I am just like, I need to give them my money. Like I cannot
Oh,
wait to give them my money because there's like an expertise, but along with the expertise, there's a trust there that like there is going to be a massive ROI on this, and they're going to collapse time for me to help me to get way more than I ever thought that I could be or have,
yeah.
And so there's just, I mean, like you, Jennifer Neal, like
Jennifer's amazing.
Jennifer is amazing. Who is the other one that I wrote down yesterday? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's 5 on the board that I have in my other room, and I'm just like, I just can't wait.
Oh, I know how that feels. I know how that feels because that's exactly how I felt about my friend Nick Fitzgerald. And I don't know if you've had a chance to meet him or not, but we joined Two Comma Club X together. We were in the same accountability group. Jorge was our coach, and I think the 3 of us have such a unique bond because of everything that we went through together. But that became my number one goal, is how can I grow my business enough that I'm going to need Nick's services and I can pay him, because I
Yes.
knew what it meant to be able to pay him. Like
Yeah.
I paid him. I acknowledged, just the incredible talent that he has and the services that he provides.
Yeah.
And, it's supporting his family and his business and his mission. And it's like, I couldn't get there fast enough. And it's sometimes we need different anchors like that. And of course, the first anchor is, our stability as a family and taking care of our kids and everything like that. But it's one of those things, like I wholeheartedly believe like what you put out in life comes back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
So if I always operate under that, where how can I support people? How can I pay it forward? How can I invest in them?
Yeah.
That's the same type of client that we attract with Amplify and in the
I
agency
love
and the
that.
coaching program. And those are the type of people I want to light on fire. Like those are the
Totally.
ones who need to get their message out in the world and be heard.
Totally. Totally. No, it's not the truth. When Lissy heard that I was going to be on your podcast today, she was like, the Amplify podcast? She's like, wait, you're on Cassie Brown's podcast. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, that's a big deal. And I was like, great. I can't wait.
You guys, I love you. I'm so blessed. Like I was looking at the schedule today and I was like, holy heck, how did I get 3 podcast interviews all on the same day? But I'm like, it just makes me smile, to see that many people being bold with their message and that we can be that avenue that helps get it out there. So I'm going to leave this in, actually, like you guys who are listening to this on the podcast, this is sort of like the welcome, the prep, but like it's been so good. And I've, thank goodness, have been recording all of the amazingness that Brooke has already brought to the table here. But if you're joining us, I'm going to do a quick intro, Brooke.
Yes.
If you're joining us, you are hearing the incredible voice of Brook Evans. What she does and what she creates with her sales coaching. Is it men and women or just women?
Yeah, men and women.
Men and women. Okay, guys, you are super lucky because she is beautiful on the inside and out. And there is nothing better than someone who can like hold you accountable and is just going to be that super authentic person come hell or high water to hold your hand and walk you through. And I'm really, really excited about today's topic. And as you guys have heard, sales is one of those things that it does have a really, really, really kind of like yucky connotation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is industry specific. I think it is just across any type of industry. When someone hears sales, like now there are people who love sales. My husband's a sales guy, and he's there's ones who are rooted in integrity and they love it and they've mastered it, and that sort of becomes their like their rallying cry. It's like, yes, everybody hates it, but I love it. I do it right. I am based on integrity. I follow up with a service. So I can't wait to get into your story. And but go ahead and fill in the gap of whatever I may have left out on your introduction on what you do and just the incredible talents that God's blessed you with.
Yeah. So I think that you said it perfectly. So any coach specifically or consultant or online expert that's selling this high ticket offer that's generating all the incredible quality leads, and they're like, man, I want these people in my program, or they're getting a taste of my product, and they've seen evidences that their program or product, I think that that's key, that their program or product actually works, that the blueprint that other people have gone through, like they've had success with. I love helping those people to master the thing that is like the tipping point for their explosion, which is sales. And I think that, there's a lot of experiences that I've had that have made it so that I am passionate and love it, because I once upon a time did hate it. But I think that one of the reasons that I love doing this is because if there's ever a skill set that was more lucrative in entrepreneurship, it would be sales. And learning that skill set is one of the most important skill sets you could invest in, because at the end of the day, like it's the closest to where the money, the impact, and all of the time is that you spend or don't spend on acquiring clients is. And so I just love helping men and women that are generating those quality leads that have had very promising results for other people be like, you know what? I need to show up differently on these sales calls. And most importantly, I need to close this high ticket offer. But how do I do it in a way where my marketing matches my message on a sales call? Meaning, if I'm marketing that this is going to be a breakthrough session, how do I actually show up on a sales call where I actually give them breakthroughs? If I'm marketing this as a strategy call, how do I actually show up on this sales call and actually give strategies? What does that look like? And I think that impact starts not when you enroll a client, but when you first get on the phone with them for the very first time and they hear your voice and you say hello. So just really excited to be on here and discuss a little bit more of that, because I love what I do and it's my passion and my mission. And I love the humans that I get to work with.
Oh, I love it. What a novel concept, congruency in messaging and what's actually delivered. Brooke, you are not suggesting that marketing should be based in integrity and delivering what you say you're going to deliver. What?
Oh, man.
I love that. That's just for those of you who don't understand the industry sarcasm there. Yes. I think it's something that we fight and we battle all the time. Because unfortunately, a lot of people have been taken advantage of. It has been that bait and switch, like where something may be marketed as, closing on calls is not a new concept. But it's almost like once you get them on the phone, if all you're doing is trying to sell them and not serve them, like they pick up on that. Like even
Yes.
if it's not in-person contact or, even the visual with Zoom, there's a lot of people who only do it over the phone itself. So you're not
Yeah.
even being able to gauge the body language or how they're reacting.
Yeah.
But I've been on the other end of it, and I have been like half of the call, I am mentally trying to be like, are they seriously saying these words? Like, this cannot be real. This cannot work on people.
Yeah.
How many calls do they have a day? Like, I'm not even like there's some points where I check out and I am just literally having a conversation with myself internally. But I'm not that nice anymore. Sometimes I'll be like, this isn't going to work for me. Like I won't sit through the calls, but like, when I was brand new and, going on all these webinars, and of course the call to action on some high ticket webinars, is book a call, book a free strategy session. And I agree with you. I think a strategy session is a strategy session. It is not, I'm going to spend an hour with you convincing you of how much you suck.
Yes.
And I am your only solution. And if you're either going to hand me your credit card digits by the end of the call, or just feel like you don't want to get out of bed for the rest of your life. Like that's a disservice to not only, to the industry of coaching and sales, but to that person. Like what you said, it's not just enrolling, it's opening the door to giving them the confidence to make decisions the rest of their lives.
Yeah. It's so true. So true. That's beautifully said.
Yeah. Okay, girl. So before we go any further, our audience is mostly entrepreneurs who are growing and scaling their business.
Yay.
So, but just in case there's someone who is, on the earlier side and they're just starting out, can you sort of give an overview, a definition of what exactly high ticket sales are?
Yeah. So I think that this could be long-winded. So I'm going to try and teach a principle very quickly, because I think that most people, the simple answer could be like anything above $3,000 is going to be your high ticket sale. The principle that I would like to teach is like high ticket is where you can make a pretty amount of money from doing something as simple as getting on a sales call and then delivering that. And what do I mean by that? Client acquisition, your client acquisition number is probably one of the most important numbers you need to know in business. Like, how much money is it really costing you to be on that phone to acquire a client? For example, if you're running a funnel that's leading to an application, right, where people are scheduling, but your close rate is only 1 in 5, and it costs you about $100 per application, then you know that every single client that you close is going to cost you $500. Does that make sense? So what is the price point that you're charging that will make that phone call and your service actually worth the fulfillment, right? That would be, if you're charging $3,000, then that would mean that you're getting $2,500 from that, right? Plus you have to really think about additional business expenses. But I think that when we talk about high ticket, I don't think that we realize why it needs to be high ticket a lot of the time. And we really need to look at that number of like, what is the number for client acquisition cost? Because that determines a lot on how much does it take to actually fulfill, not just so that I get paid, but so that they get fulfillment in the services, because it's probably going to be a little bit more than 500 to be able to, hand off the things and make sure that all of the time that you're spending and all of the resources that you're giving them actually work. So I would say short answer, it's 3K and above. But one of the principles that I really like to teach about high ticket is like, how much is it costing you to get on a phone call and close a client?
I love that. That's one of the things I noticed really, really quickly on the agency side in consulting is numbers intimidate people.
Yeah.
And so I love that you lead with numbers, because anytime I start going down that path, it breaks my heart if I have clients that tell me no one's ever asked me these questions before.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to them about my concerns over their profit margins, because like, I know they will eventually get to a phase of burnout, right?
Yes. Yes.
Adrenaline and serving will only get us so far. Like 100%, like give and serve with all
Mm-hmm.
you've got. But at the end of the day, if you are losing sleep because you can't pay your mortgage,
Yeah.
your electricity bill is going to get shut off. You can't
Right.
restock your fridge. You can't, whatever you have, you are setting yourself up to struggle to be able to serve the way that you want to serve. So
Mm-hmm.
if we know the way that we want to serve and we want to show up and be able to consistently do it without the stress and without the, worry of other things in our life, those numbers are really, really important. And we need to reverse engineer exactly what we need. And like you said, take into account those costs, not only the fixed business costs that you have. I mean, there's so many people, especially on the service side, where they're like, oh, it's just an hour of my time. No, it's not. You have electricity to pay, you have internet to pay, you have that, computer that you bought. What about your webcam that you paid?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also taxes that you have to pay on top of the fees that you're getting paid. And you do have an hourly rate. So there are a ton of costs associated with that. And I didn't think I could love you even more, but I love you even more that you help them realize, the value of their time,
Yes.
and making sure that they're healthy and profitable, because the amount that we can impact others does depend on our profitability. So
Totally.
I think
Totally.
that's so, 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 so important. And as impact driven and, service based, mission driven entrepreneurs, we can lose sight of that a lot.
Yes.
And, but the candle of our flame will burn out way too quickly if we don't make sure we build those healthy foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, if it's okay with you, I'd love to go down that road today, in embracing, being able to confidently charge, raising prices
Mm-hmm.
for some things, evaluating your profit margins. And I bet there's probably some things that people are creating in their business that are, maybe low and mid ticket that really should be high ticket because of the value that it's delivering. And the thing about it is, like, my mind shifted for me about growing my business and doing more when Alex Sharfin shared at one of his events, if you have a problem with money, you haven't given enough away. And I
Mm.
think, like, you and the people that you work with and in this industry, especially in high ticket sales, how much more impact could we make if they made more income to be able to pour back into others? Like, that's really what we're after.
True. So true. Yeah, I love that. And I love that topic of discussion, because I think that when you get into entrepreneurship, your last thought is, oh, I need to learn sales and I need to be a marketing expert. And I also need to know a little bit of math. Like, newsflash, like, that can be really, really intimidating. But I can tell you that, like, one of the most powerful things for me was recognizing that, like, I think it was Tom that spoke about it in Bilio, I think is his last name. I can't remember what his last name was. He spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, and
Mm-hmm.
he talked about how, like, if you can just be an artificial intelligence in your business and look and play the game with numbers, like, and just judge it based on, like, okay, so you lost right here, like, let's get back up, you have another life, try it again. Like, we're never ever losing or failing, we're just winning or learning. And, like, the numbers will tell you if you're winning or learning. And so if you can just be really, really intentional about letting your metrics drive your business decisions instead of your emotions, that's when you can do massive, massive things. And that is a huge part of what I teach my clients, is, like, let us be numbers driven. Let us not be emotionally driven by any of this, because especially in sales, it can be a little bit of a roller coaster.
Totally. Okay. So let's talk about some of those emotions.
Okay.
Because emotions and mindset, like, that's a game we have to play,
Yeah.
like, numbers are safe. And
Yes.
once we understand what those key indicators are and we're following them.
Yes.
But I've seen, and probably you do too, I'd love for you to share, the emotions are what stop us.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a perfect example of this. I had a client that I was working with about 3 months ago, and he came to me and said, I really want to work with you, and I need help on my sales. My close ratio right now is 1 in 28. So I was grateful that he knew that number. But again, like 28 hours to close one client, you can imagine the strain on that.
Wow.
How much are you charging? $500. Why are you charging that? Because I don't believe that people will buy this. Okay, so tell me, have you had evidences of people that you have helped and gotten that result? Absolutely. What is it that you do? I literally help people to save their marriage. Okay, how many marriages have you saved just this past year? 32. What? That's amazing. You've literally helped save 32 marriages. That's incredible. So you have a track record there. Why are we only showing up at $500? Well, I just don't know that like people can afford this service. And so because of that mindset, guess who he was like attracting? The people that couldn't afford his service. And not only that, but like we also have to understand something about high ticket, and that is $500 clients will act like $500 clients.
Oh my goodness.
And
Beautiful
if you
words.
don't know what I mean by that, you will know once you start charging that. The lower it is that you charge, and I'm not talking about for beta, I'm talking about for like success and blueprints where people have gone through your program, they've gotten results. If you are charging the low numbers, you can expect a very high maintenance, low output individual in your program. And that's just because a lot of the times, for whatever reason, the lower it is that you charge, the more it is that they expect. And they become the 20% that's like paying your bills, but the 80% that's taking all of your time, mental energy, and experience. And it is just zapping you. And I said to this client, I said, friend, like, you think that you're doing yourself a favor by charging $500 for this, but you are doing the greatest disservice to not only them, but to you. Because what happens when we charge high ticket, and I'm not just talking about like throwing a number out and being like, oh, that number feels good, I'm going to charge 6,000. Like there has to be some market research done with that, obviously. But when you can look at something like a $6,000 product and say, how are the clients showing up paying $6,000 different from the clients that are showing up paying $500? It is dramatically different, because the more you pay, the more commitment there often is, and the more serious those people often take the experience. And we are not just getting them to pass over their credit card so that we can fulfill. The biggest part of true investment is helping that individual rise to the occasion of some new self-belief. And that self-belief is what is going to change them to have confidence to take the action to get the results. And I think that the more that we can invest in ourselves, those high ticket things, the more it's like our personal value of what we believe we can do and what we're capable of doing dramatically increases. And that's not just because we have awesome mentors in our life. It's because we are willing to confidently say, I don't know everything, but there is something that I do know. I am worth a $6,000 investment. And this is going to get me to places that I've never been. So going back to this story, I say, Andre, so let's talk about this. I was like, and he is just like one of the most phenomenal human beings. Like he's one of my very, very favorite clients. And we joke about this story all the time, but I say, okay, let's talk about how long is it taking you to make $6,000? He says, it's taking me 6 months because I'm only closing 2 clients every single month. Because I can only do 28 sales calls every 2 weeks, and I'm only closing 1 in 28. So I want you guys to think about it. The number represented, speaking back to numbers, that your conversion rate for sales calls is more than just that number. There is so much that number represents behind it. It represents time. It represents impact, because it's how many clients you can actually enroll, and it impacts and it represents money. So I'm going, okay, let's talk about time. How many hours is it taking for you to close 2 clients? Well, 28 plus 28, whatever that number is, it's in the 50s, right? Okay, so it's taking you 50 somewhat hours to close 2 clients. How long is it taking you to make $6,000? 6 months. Okay, how many clients are you enrolling in 6 months? Well, 12 in 6 months. And how much money are you making? I'm making $6,000 in 6 months. Okay, we are going to take you now from a $500, $1,000 a month to having a $6,000 day. Starting now, you are charging $6,000 and you're going to dramatically see two things increase. Three things. Your time, because we're going to get your conversion rate down to 1 in 4. You're going to see your money explode. Instead of it taking you 6 months to make $6,000, you're going to make it in a day. And the next thing that you're going to see explode is the impact. Instead of it taking you 6 months to help and impact 12 marriages, you're going to be impacting a marriage every single day and enrolling a new client every single day. And the last thing that this is going to impact, let's talk about collapsing time. If we're doing $6,000 days instead of it taking 6 months to close $6,000 worth, we're collapsing time, which means we're actually making more money. And I don't know if you realize this, but like it is so much harder to make a lot of money in a short amount of time than it is to make a ton of money in a short amount of time. It is so much easier to make a ton of money in a short amount of time than it is to make a lot of money in a long amount of time. So much easier. And he started doing that. His close ratio went down to 1 in 4. And he was just, the marriages that he's saving now are the thing that I'm most excited about, because he can now enroll a client once a day instead of twice a month. And I think that that's what makes all of the difference. But I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I hope that I got a point across of like your conversion rate represents so much more than just that number, and your mindset towards going back to that story of that client, like that conversion rate changed everything, but also what changed everything for him was going from a 500 to a 6,000, because guess how the clients were now acting in that program? Very, very different than how they were acting when he was charging 500.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful story and representation over like just stepping up boldly and leading, and not just the revenue shift, the mindset shift and the impact that is dramatically, like exponentially amplified. I love it. So how exactly, like let's dial it back a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how you got started, where you came from, and how you ended up here with sales. Because I know, like, I have had the extreme pleasure of getting to know you in person. We're big huggers, and
we are.
I don't know the full story, and I am just literally I'm wanting to know, like, how did you get here and know this was your calling? Because you're absolutely serving in incredible ways.
Thank you. I think it really all starts back to 5 years ago when I was like, I want to serve and I want to really help people with their mindset and their business strategy. I had done it and worked in corporate for about 5 years previous to that, before jumping ship and going into entrepreneurship. But I didn't know what it was that I needed to do. And so, long story short, for the first 3 years of entrepreneurship, I actually was helping a audience that I don't prefer anymore. And that's a big message right there, is like, your who is so important. And if that is not defined, and the what is defined first, of like what kind of money you're going to make instead of who you're going to serve, it might work for you short term, but it is not going to serve you long term. I can promise you that. It's not good. So long story short, for the first 3 years, I actually worked with real estate agents, and I ended up helping a lot of them, a ton of them, to be able to close more deals a month. And we talked a lot about business strategy and a lot about mindset, but I found that like that who was just really, really difficult to work with. And let me just give a caveat that like there were a handful of clients that I like loved and were a pleasure to work with. And I'm sure there's a handful of real estate agents out there that are just incredible and amazing and the anomaly. But the majority of my experience, it was the $500 clients, and they were acting like $500 clients, right? So first 3 years I actually did that. And I saw some challenges to it, but one thing that I recognized is I needed to change my who. I needed to change how I was serving. But I didn't know what to do. And one day it just hit me that, if you were to go on, well, the majority of my time was being actually sucked up in sales call. And I didn't anticipate that. As an entrepreneur, I thought the majority of my time would be like serving and over delivering and like being with the people and fulfilling. But I actually saw that 80% of my time was stuck in enrolling. And only 20% of my time was centered on fulfilling. And like, that just was not comfortable to me at all. But after 3 years of doing hundreds of sales calls, you just get good at something that you suck at long enough, Yeah. And like, I just had this like epiphany where like, because I spent 80% of my time enrolling, I had now become great at enrolling. However, I was like, okay, so I could pivot and start teaching this, but I was like, I'm not as great as I want to be. My close rate at the time was like 1 in 11. And so I started on this journey of investing in sales coaches and in scripts and in online courses. And I just like ripped everything apart. I was like, I'm going to just take an entire summer and I'm going to like lay low and I am going to like change my who. And I'm also going to change the direction and the channeling for this skill set. And I was like, I also need to just be closing way more clients if I'm going to teach this, but also it's just becoming really miserable that it takes me 11 hours to close a client. So I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I began this journey, and it was at a black kitchen table one day where I decided that I was going to review 1,024 of my own sales calls. Because after over $70,000 of investments from sales coaches, my close ratio went down a little bit to like 1 in 8, but it was still not where it needed to be. And I was completely frustrated at the means and the resources and how they were teaching me how to do it, because it was so inauthentic to me. So I was just like, but I have to figure this out. Like, if I am going to win at business, like this conversion rate number needs to be way lower than it is. So I sat at this like black wood kitchen table for an entire summer, and I reviewed over 1,024 of my sales calls, and I found these patterns. And it was like, okay, what was I doing different, or what was happening on the sales calls that I was doing different on the ones that I was closing versus the ones that I wasn't. And one of the biggest patterns that I found was that the belief system of those that I had closed was dramatically different from the ones that I didn't. And I was just like, okay, so one of the epiphanies I just had eating my like pizza hot pocket at this kitchen wood table is like, I have to transfer belief. I've got to transfer this belief of my confidence in them and like my program, and that the time and the money it's going to take to invest in it is worth it. So I'm like, 15 more calls scheduled next week. Perfect. Let's do it. Let's use this new lesson and like, let's implement it. No one's teaching this, but let's try it. So I try it. Epic fail, still 1 in 8. And I was just like, dang it. Like, going back to the drawing board. Like, we've been here for 3 years. Like, why do we have to spend another week on figuring this out? And like, the mentors and gurus that I had at that time, like, they did not have the answers. And if they did, they didn't feel authentic to me. So it wasn't like I could go to any trainings where I was like, oh, that's good. Like, I'll use that framework. Oh, that's good. I'll use that framework. So I literally was like, okay, so what is this about? Why didn't that work? And I realized that you can never, ever transfer belief. Just because I say something doesn't mean that someone else is going to believe it or feel it, no matter how convinced or confident I am in that. But what I can do is I can help change and replace old beliefs with new ones. But how do I do that? Beliefs are completely upheld by stories. So I have to change how I'm telling stories. And I had this epiphany that the reason that these people are coming on this sales call or this strategy session or this breakthrough session with me anyways is because the current beliefs that they have are not serving them. Therefore, they are not getting the results that they want anyways. So I went week 2, round 2. I was like, you cannot be so egotistical and naive to think, Brooke, that you can transfer your beliefs of how good your program is and convince them that it is worth the time and the money that they are going to invest in this. You have to change their belief about themselves and their confidence in using your product itself, as well as the time and the money that it's going to be worth to be able to get them the result that they really want. So I did that for the next coming weeks, and my close ratio went down to 1 in 3. And I was
girl, that's awesome.
I know. I was just like amazed. And I was like, the world needs to know this because, and here's why. Because I found that when I started doing that, my marketing matched my messaging, which was the messaging that I was doing on these sales calls, which was they truly were having breakthroughs. And I didn't have to be a mindset coach to help them have these breakthroughs. They were truly getting strategy for the next step forward because there was so much clarity on where they were and where they needed to go and how to replace these old self-serving stories with new ones that would get different results. And you could not tell on these sales calls if I was on a call with a prospect versus a call with a client, a coaching call with a client. The only difference was one had a transaction.
Right.
That was the only difference. And I was just like, the world needs to know this, and it shouldn't have to take people $70,000. And it definitely shouldn't have to take thousands of sales calls being reviewed. Yeah. So I just like put myself out there and started coaching people, and all of my clients are closing $20,000 months minimum because of the things that they're implementing. But it just has so many implications because how you enroll a client is how you will fulfill on that client. Mm-hmm. And they're now enrolling that client in a way that is authentic, that it's earth-shattering, that it's mind-breaking, that they're getting off these strategy calls and going, honey, you will never believe this, but I just had the most incredible 1-hour experience of my life on this phone call where I told Brooke things I never thought I would even think. This self-awareness just became so real, and then they start acting differently inside your program too because of like the respect and the breakthroughs that they had way before they even give you their credit card.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So 2 things, like those are absolutely my favorite kind of calls where I get the text after, like, that was absolutely the best hour I've ever spent, the most productive, especially when sometimes they raise their prices and they increase their profit margins by 40%, yes. and then they go out that same day and they close. Like we had a client the other day where after like it was just so much like it was this mindset and like after our call and our session and then our like clear action steps, what was happening was they ended up closing like 20,000 in sales that day.
Oh my gosh.
It's just that shift and getting them into action. So and then number 2, I think what you said about especially the sales and the confidence of sales, a client is only going to value you at the point that you value yourself.
Yes.
So you have to show up valuing your time and having the confidence that you can help walk them through the steps. But I love that you even, you narrowed it down even more. It's not enough for me to be confident. Yeah. They have to be confident in their decisions, and you're teaching them a skill set that's going to take them places in life that is going to open doors. They're going to actually implement what you teach them. And it's going to make them really just look at things in a whole new light. So it's really, really cool. That was such an incredible story.
I'm sorry. It's a little long-winded. That was
no.
Bad.
We're fine. We're traditionally really long for podcasts. Can get a little bit off on a tangent, but it's one of those things where it's like, I wholeheartedly, like, I show up, I serve, I have conversations. I want, the guests who come on here, I want them 100% to shine, to share their stories, and ultimately to encourage others to step up and be bold and amplify.
Mm,
And it's, that's our mission in our coaching program, in our free groups, and every publishing channel, and the agency. And it's just like, I guess I can't get the message out there enough. And so for people who are out there literally making sure that they're serving and that they are playing at a higher level, like, I want to be able to share that opportunity for them,
yeah.
to make more connections and to continue to grow and amplify. That's how we collectively make more of an impact.
Yeah.
And that's super important to me. So we have about 5 more minutes to wrap up. So I want to know, like, what haven't you been asked or interviewed about before that you are just absolutely dying to share with the world that people need to know?
Mm, wow. That is such a great question. Wow. What I think that I haven't been asked about what it looks like to really over deliver to clients and make it so that your impact isn't just in a correct client relationship, but in a life relationship where your name will go on their plaque of like just good humans forever because of the work that you did for them and with them. So I've been asked a lot about sales. I've been asked a lot about mindset. I've been asked a lot about investment, but I haven't actually been asked yet on like over delivering.
Sorry, had to get back to the mute button. um, let me know, like, what is your thoughts on over delivering? I would really like to know. Do we have time to squeeze that
Yes.
in? Okay.
I will share just a brief thing, and that is that I think that over delivering has to do with personalization as well as experience. And the more we can personalize our fulfillment and our deliverables inside our programs, the more that individual will be seen. There's nothing that an individual wants more from a mentor and a coach and a program than to be seen and acknowledged that, like, I know where you're at and I know where it is that you want to go. And can I just share like a quick voice note today to give you some ideas that have been running through my head? Can I send you a book that I know is going to change your world because it changed mine? Can I hop on an additional coaching call because I see where you're at and I want you to have an additional breakthrough? Like, how can we intentionally, like, not just leave things out of our offer, but put more things in it after they pay us, so that the only thought that they're constantly having is like, I thought that this is what I'm getting, but I never could have anticipated that I would get more. And the greatest disservice that we could do for anyone is for them to feel that they are paying for way more than they're getting. So how do we do that? We personalize the ways that we over deliver. And then the next thing is like, we create experiences for them to feel that they are being seen and heard. And so it's not just like events that we're creating, like these coaching calls. It's like, how can we create coaching calls and mentorship and interactions where it's like, it's this experience where they go away feeling like, I've never, ever like stood face to face with such a transformational experience in my life than when I went on that coaching call, or when I had that interaction with Brooke or with Cassie. Like, I think that we're looking too much for monetary things in our over delivering, maybe, or material things, but what people really want is experience. And so I think that those are two things that I would suggest is we can over deliver by being personal and creating personalization in our offers after we fulfill even more, and we can create more experiences.
I love that so much. Like I wrote down, like I always take notes like on podcasts because I think you can always, in every situation, you can always learn and apply things.
Yeah.
But like that point right there, it just drives home the fact that acknowledgement and attention has infinitely higher value than automation alone. And I think
Yes.
so many people want to get to that point where we digitize and we automate and we are hands off and our business has, like, that is so important. It really, really
Yes.
is.
Yes.
But there is a human component to your business that if you just keep that small little detail in there, like you
Yep.
said, it's a small little detail, but it's huge impact
Yes.
on over delivering. And it is not like everything in the kitchen sink, like you said, like just throwing this and throwing that at them.
Yeah.
That honestly, for me, like it's a running joke with Jorge and I, is like, we will over deliver, not overwhelm, you know,
I
and
love
that,
that.
and that is what you just, you know, in a complete, beautiful summary shared. And so I hope people, like, if that's all you take away from listening to that, is like your attention and your acknowledgement to the people that you serve, like it will truly impact their lives, and it makes all of the difference. And it might just be, like you said, that 20-second boxer,
Yes.
or, you know, a quick little message like, I saw your live today. It was
Yes.
amazing. Like
Yes.
just one small little acknowledgement. I see you,
Yes.
and keep going.
Yes. Yep. It's so true. It's so true.
Awesome. All right, my love. Where can everyone find you? I know I hang out in your group. You're in my group.
Yes.
You know, I think it was just like we need to stick together. Everyone just needs to stick together.
Everyone just needs everyone just needs to learn from Cassie. That's all there is to it, because what you do and how you serve is literally, it's mind-boggling to me. But I love you, and I'm so grateful to be here. Anyone can find me I have a free group for how to learn how to increase your high ticket sales and convert them. It's called High Ticket Sales Training for Online Entrepreneurs. And there's just tons of training, tons of value, and tons of networking that you can do with the best of the best that are led into that group. So come join us.
Awesome. Plus you get to spend extra time with Brookie. So thank you so much. I love you. All right, you guys, I will talk to you again soon. I hope you're having a wonderful day, stepping up, being bold leaders, and absolutely making offers and blessing people with the gifts that you have. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Brookie. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.